What seems harmless but is actually incredibly dangerous. Trying me, confused face, no but really, baby oil. Usually kept standard around babies and toddlers, and if a child gets a hold of it and gets it in their mouth, you're probably gonna call poison control. And they're going to tell you that your child should be fine. But what they're probably not going to tell you is that if your child has aspirated any of that baby oil, they are going to slowly suffocate and drown a dry death. Unfortunately, when we inhale oils like baby oil, it covers the little hairs on our lungs and there's no way for us to clean it, and there's been several children lost this way. I saw an interview with some grieving parents while I was pregnant with my daughter, and it absolutely freaked me out, and for the past 22 years I have tried to warn anyone who will listen to keep baby oil, and really all oils, out of reach of your child. So many people keep baby oil on the changing table or the baby dresser and are unaware of the risks it poses. It scares me so bad I've actually convinced God knows how many shop owners to move it and others to higher shelves. Most people, if they stop to think about it at all, consider the poison aspect of it if a child gets a hold of it, but too many people are straight up unaware of the suffocation part, and it is so scary. I can't imagine how terrifying it would be to call for help about something you're worried may make your child sick and find out you're helpless to be able to do anything, knowing your baby is going to suffocate and you can't do shit about it. Just no. Hell no. If I can tell people and prevent it from happening even one time, that's one less baby to suffer and one less set of parents to grieve something so unknown. Definitely learned about wild parsnip the hard way. As a teenager I knew about what it could do, but still took a stalk, broke it, and drew a smiley face on my forearm. After a day out in the sun, I had a nasty smiley face shaped set of boils on my arm. Even now, I still have a mark that shows up now and again. Would it not make sense to put signs up near these potentially dangerous plants that say do not touch, or even including information about the plant with a large warning that it will harm humans/pets? Where I'm from, Queensland, Australia, we have many very dangerous stinging trees, famously the gympie. A lot of hiking paths just have them growing everywhere, and even people who grow up in Australia may not know about them. I feel like there's an educational disconnect with modern civilization and the plants we live around. For kids, someone online with a sympathetic ear for their problems. Responsible adults will try to put you in touch with real-life help, not encourage a pattern of reliance and inappropriate intimacy. Bonus danger points on anyone who throws down "you're really mature for your age." Predators online work just like real-life hunting predators. Their first goal is to separate you from your herd. For kids, someone online with a sympathetic ear for their problems. Kids reach out to me all the time on Instagram, usually to try and become my friend. I draw and have a bit of an exaggerated personality online, so I imagine it's like talking to their favorite cartoon character for them. I usually will listen to their problems and treat them like a person because I know what it's like when you're young, and no one does that, not because I have any attraction to kids. One could argue I can't even stand kids. This is an incredible rule of thumb that every young person should follow, to not trust every adult showing kindness to you on the internet. But, as an adult, 23, I have literally no idea what real-life help you'd be expecting me to put them in touch with. Can't really tell a minor go to therapy because the end choice wouldn't be their own. Some parents are just shitty and wouldn't do that for their kid, plus it's mostly shit like the kids at school call me a pussy because I Fortnite dance in the cafeteria, or I think I might be gay/trans/etc. This is also a danger for young adults looking for sympathy from strangers. My ex was a psych professor and exclusively targeted disadvantaged young college girls who had sob stories to tell. I watched him mess with these girls for years until I was able to break free of his control and tell the school. He was fired, but immediately got a teaching job in Idaho, where he still is today. Uneasy face. I have younger friends online and they've come to me for advice. I always start with first talk to the appropriate people, doctor, therapist, teachers, parents, etc., because my advice might help, but it's better to contact an adult who can provide proper help. I don't mind to give them anecdotal advice based on my experience, but they shouldn't be depending on some random 30-something-year-old on the internet for help. I care, but I can only do so much. From first-hand experience, my trans kid was seeking friendship online during COVID from various Discord groups. They came across as loving and supportive but ended up being among the most toxic online communities I've ever seen. They had endless purity tests and their passive-aggressive support was built around impossible expectations. They did far more harm than good. Those groups were also chock full of child predators who were more than happy to be a shoulder to cry on when the community collectively turned on a person. It was scary, and we were lucky to get them out of there before things went off the rails. I actually told my 11-year-old daughter to be extremely wary if anyone ever tells her that she is really mature for her age. Thank God I didn't have that problem in my head. I didn't understand people's attraction to minors in any way, shape or form. Broadway theater. There's thousands of pounds of industrial steel truss latched to motors hanging from the ceiling. But it's the video walls falling that kill the most people. With the truss, it's easier to visually see it's all secure. With the video wall, it's individual panels that have to be patched together as someone raises the motor. If a row near the top isn't latched correctly, the weight of the rows below it can pull the lower section of wall right off as the motor raises. That famous picture of the video wall smashed in a stadium happened because someone did the weight math wrong about the combined weight of the video panels when snapped together, and the chain motor that raises the wall up failed completely under the weight. That incident, as far as I know, didn't seriously injure anyone. It would have had enough lead time as a failure that the crew had about a minute to see and hear that motor go brrr and the other motors fail and fucking ran to the loading dock. But a split video wall failing at a latch can go up and then vibrate apart from the base and drop with zero warning, which is probably what happened to the Thai dancer. I have traveling friends in the US to spread the gossip, but none in Thailand, so that's just speculation on my part given the news descriptions. If you wrap one particular cable in a circle instead of in a figure 8, it will burn down your theater. Mascot or kigurumi style costumes, think genuine dots, beast, any fat suit, any furry animal built like a mascot, are super dangerous. Under hot stage lights an actor can get fatal heat stroke in under 15 minutes, they have zero mobility or visibility and require an attendant backstage just to move through the space, and to be prepared to pull them out of the costume rig extremely fast if they start to overheat. The entire time you're working, in the dark, in super close quarters, Anastasia's carriage, or an Ethiopian village hut, or a barricade made of chairs is literally hanging on these chain motors above your head. The list goes on and on and on. Edit, and don't get me started on films hole up enclosed, isolated shoot locations and pinky swear mafia style, not to talk about the multitude of OSHA violations they're about to do. The general lack of enforcement of on-set safety, especially in isolated shoot locations, has been hurting or killing crew for a long time. That's why the Alec Baldwin thing was such a big deal, and he deserves punishment. His actions were the sort of dangerous and cavalier that is par for course in the industry, but this time there was actually enough evidence to charge the fat cat with the money who orders their crew to do unsafe things in secluded locations. See also, Uma Thurman and the Kill Bill car. It's not just crew that's pressured into and subjected to unsafe conditions, it happens even to famous talent. Pool covers. It's like being wrapped in a bed sheet underwater. You cannot get free and you cannot scream for help. Once you're in, the only way to get out is to be incredibly lucky and get free, or have faith that someone saw or heard you fall in and hope that they get you in time. It's a lengthy, terrifying death that's completely avoidable. Tattoos. As someone who has multiple tattoos, I am appalled at the recent rise in lack of concern I have seen regarding proper sanitization and safety measures. TikTok is partly to blame. There's far too much content on that app normalizing stick and poke tattoos done at home / young people buying tattoo machines off of Amazon and tattooing themselves / friends at home. In these videos, A constant thread I've seen is a lack of hygiene, i.e. no gloves, tattooing on a blanket or their bedroom carpet or on their bed, tattooing while drunk or at a party, etc. etc. I've also seen this lack of concern in my co-workers at work too. They take offense to the idea that tattoo studios take the sanitization measures that they do for good reason. Trying to explain how dangerous an infected tattoo can be to my co-workers was not a fun time. A tattoo is an open wound, thus it is super easy for a tattoo to become infected if you don't follow proper sanitization protocols. Sure, an infected tattoo can be minor and fixed with antibiotics, however, infected tattoos can kill you. If left untreated, an infected tattoo can lead to life-threatening health conditions such as septic shock or toxic shock syndrome. Depending on the severity of an infection plus what part of your body is tattooed, you could lose a limb or go blind. If you purchase a tattoo gun off of Amazon and buy the inks to go with it, you run the risk of an allergic reaction to said inks or even buying inks made with ingredients that aren't regulated. Most of the inks sold with the tattoo gun kits on Amazon.com are unregulated and inherently riskier to use. I don't want this post to discourage anyone from getting a tattoo if you want one. A tattoo from a highly skilled and qualified artist is always worth the investment in my opinion. If you don't want to pay for an expensive tattoo, that's okay. Just do some research into why an artist charges the amount they charge and what risk you would be taking by getting a DIY tattoo or a super cheap tattoo. It's your body and I support your autonomy. If you want to risk getting an infection and either dying or going into debt from medical bills, that's your decision. I am only here to help spread awareness and keep the dialogue of tattoo safety going. Along the same lines, piercings. Any sort of body modification had a risk, as you are causing physical trauma to the body. Again, as someone who has multiple piercings, ears plus nip piercings, I am not against body modification. I am simply advocating for body modification decisions made with thorough knowledge of safety, aftercare, and risks. Lots of people seem to think it's okay to get piercings done at places like Claire's, no, or even piercing yourself at home. If you use a piercing gun, like Claire's does, you are causing blunt force trauma to your body, using cheap jewelry, adding to your risk of infection and medical complications. Keloids, infections, and rejections are incredibly common in situations where a piercing gun was used. A piercing should always be done by someone who is certified to do said modification and should always use a sterilized needle. Before making the decision to modify your body, whether that's with a tattoo or a piercing, do your research. If you think a studio price is too expensive, I encourage you to evaluate why you think that way and what risks you are taking with your body if you choose to do an at-home/cheap body modification. Your health matters. Plus, wouldn't you want to invest in a modification that is high quality and will bring you pride to show off? Herbivores. Just because they don't eat you doesn't mean they won't hurt you. Carnivore look at you and think, are you a good prey and are they hungry? If they think no, they will just leave you. Herbivores gets a flight or fight response. 99% they preferred flight, but God save if they decide to fight. Carnivores are designed to kill you in one instance to save energy, but herbivores will keep attacking you, killing you slowly, and might even do after death. No wonder, hippos have a higher kill count than lions in Africa. I've seen too many videos of tourists in Africa approaching herbivores, thinking they're just cuddly and friendly animals. Then running from an angry elephant. That multi-ton animal will not feel bad for trampling you for disturbing it, buddy. Additionally, a carnivore will most likely think twice before hunting you. If it uses all its energy for a kill with a low chance of success, they will possibly starve because they don't have the energy for another hunt. The most dangerous animal in the UK by the number of deaths is the cow. Kids picking flowers in the park. I am a conservation technician for a county park system. At least once a year I have to stop parents with kids picking flowers off the trail because I see kids with either poison hemlock, one of the deadliest plants if ingesting even a tiny amount, or wild parsnip, which can cause some serious permanent scarring, burns, and boils if the sap gets onto your skin and is exposed to sunlight. Don't let your kids pick or eat anything you aren't 100% sure of. There's an old folk myth thing here that was created to keep kids away from hemlock that's not really used anymore, but I was told it by another kid when I was little and it worked. It grew at our playground at school and this kid caught me picking some. Kids were told not to pick Queen Anne's lace, otherwise their mum would die. Apparently this was to prevent kids picking hemlock as the two plants look identical. There's also wild parsnip/giant hogweed often growing in the park around here, and the council has to keep removing it in case kids or dogs hurt themselves with the sap. Seems to be a scarily common plant and looks just like any other random plant.